I love Gears of War. This is what I've said for years, ever since I played the first one. I first played Gears of War 1 on my friend's 360 back in 2007 because I didn't actually own one of my own at the time. I remember it was January 2007, we were playing it as my friend had got it for Christmas. Split screen, of course. We played through most of the campaign that day until it was time for me to go home. I myself had got the Wii for Christmas because I'm a Nintendo kind of guy, and I don't regret that most of the time. But I knew I wanted a 360 at some point. Roll on summer of 2008. I was 16, I'd just finished high school. Yes, we finished high school at the age of 16 in the UK. And I got myself a job. Luckily, it was a job that paid me every 2 weeks, so my first wage, I actually saved up and got the brand new 360 with Gears of War 1 and GTA 4. I had a lot of time to make up, and then it happened. Gears of War 2 released on November 7th in 2008, and I got it first amongst my friends. I played through until the giant worm part on my own, until my friend called to tell me that he'd finally got it, and he was about to start playing too. See, at this point, I'd moved away to another part of the country, so I knew very few people at the time, and none of my new friends were gamers, so there was no one to play split screen with. Oh, that's right, Xbox Live's a thing. Thanks to that crappy cheap plastic headset that came with the console, I could play the game with my friends still, and talk just like we were in the same room. With the campaign done and exhausted after achievement farming, my friend got more into the multiplayer, but I never seemed to enjoy it as much. I've never really been one of those gamers that does many online matches because I'm just not that good compared to most people, it seems. It's daunting to play the campaign like a god and see your skills aren't shit compared to other people's online. I was more attached to the story and the characters than the gameplay. It holds the title of the first game that's ever really made me cry. And come on, if you didn't miss it when you first found Maria, you're dead inside. You wanted to know what happened to Marcus and Dom, Cole and Baird. The cliffhanger at the end of 2 raised more questions. How was this going to play out? It was all but absolutely guaranteed that there was going to be a Gears of War 3. Epic Games were riding high with the franchise. Then it was announced that the third game would end the story. It would end the war. And us fans got a chance to get involved in that ending. Kill Carmine or save Carmine. I mean, it's 9 years old now, so sorry for the spoilers, but finally one of them actually lived. So September 2011, I started university. I moved back to my hometown alone for the first time to live in a student housing, and I left my 360 at my parents' house nearly 400 miles away. 2 out of the 3 launches I was not going to be a part of. I remember YouTube at the time wasn't as crazy popular as it is now for Let's Players, and I didn't use Twitter or Facebook much, so I avoided spoilers as much as I could. But as soon as the university broke for Christmas, I travelled as fast as I could back down to my parents' place. I completed the campaign on my own this time because I wanted to see how things ended, and my friends had already actually beaten the game themselves and didn't spoil it to me, so thanks for that, guys. The war was won, the story was over, the Queen was dead, at the cost of losing Dom along the way. Say what you want about linear games, but damn can a story really pull you in to care about these characters, and that's exactly what Gears of 1 to 3 did really well with me and my friends. With university becoming more demanding, I decided again to leave my 360 behind, and when I went back to the new semester in 2012, and I never played on the Xbox again until 7 years later. I moved to the PS4 after the 360, and only got an Xbox One in September 2019. I'd always wondered if Gears of War 4 was actually good, and I never really looked it up. I mean, the Locusts were gone, who would they be at war with now? Turns out it was the Locust again. Oh sorry, I mean the Swarm. I wanted this game to be good because it looked great visually, no muddy textures in sight, but it's just not. It's not a fun game. The characters are laughable imitations. JD is Mr. Generic protagonist with no grit to him like his father. Oh yeah, he's Marcus and Anya's son, except they don't get along and Anya's dead. And then there's Kate Diaz, dull one-note Kate, and Dell, who's also there. I've never played a game so short that felt like it went on for too long. I took my time and still finished it within 6 hours. The new devs have in their hands a series worth its weight in gold, and they slowly are turning it to shit. It's like they can't make up their minds what they want to do with the series and just make it Gears of Woke. I know plenty of fans have expressed that Gears 5 is where it derailed, but I disagree. I think 4 was never really on the tracks in the first place. I can't sit here and white knight for a franchise that is barely recognisable anymore. I think a lot of fans of anything really have this fear that if we admit that a game in a franchise that is so loved isn't that good, that somehow automatically that means you hate the series. It really doesn't. If anything, it shows how much of a fan you actually are when you know that better results can be achieved? I was really confused why the Coalition went with the sequel series in the first place. The original trilogy closed off the story perfectly well. If anything, the Gears franchise has a huge backstory, and playing through the Pendulum Wars would have been a better route to take. But in that same mindset, I'm glad that they didn't, as judging from the piss-poor storytelling from 4 and 5, they would have no doubt butchered the backstories and made the characters we know from the extended universes parodies of themselves. It seems that the growing trend with current gaming is that games must pander to SJWs to be successful, aiming your games at the minute percentage of your audience while alienating everyone else who doesn't play games to be preached at is not going to age well or translate to good user responses. Take for example Kate again. Gears 5 tried its best to make her this strong character who doesn't follow the patriarchy, and all it achieved was a head-scratching narrative questioning why all the characters seem to listen to Kate, who actually is the lowest ranking soldier in the group, and never actually call her out on her bullshit. Gears of War already achieved better results with female characters in the older games and extended universe. Everyone loved Anya and Sam from 3, and if anyone hasn't read up on Anya's mum, I recommend you do so. With all that being said, as much as the Coalition did a great job remastering Gears 1, at the helm of the new games they've consistently gone out of their way to bastardise the series into something long-running fans don't want. Gears 5 was not a huge success financially, but as a long-running franchise we will no doubt be in for another sequel. I hope the Coalition listened to the criticisms of the game, but I doubt it. I enjoyed 5 slightly more than 4, but it's still a very pale imitation of its older brothers. I can only hope after 6, Microsoft gives the license to someone else. Gears 1 to 3 will always be the best in the series, and no matter how much the devs ruin the franchise's reputation, they can never take away what great games Clifford Bleszinski and everyone at Epic Games created. Thanks for watching. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Did you like 4 or 5? Let me know down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any feedback or valid criticisms, let me know down below in a comment. I'm always looking to improve my content, and I always need that feedback from you guys.